Have you wondered about living elsewhere after you retire? Well, we have, almost daily. As you know, it's not an overnight decision. Hi, this is Gil.
And Jean.
Of Retire There, a podcast about places to consider living in after you retire. We started this show for selfish reasons. We planned on visiting cities earlier this year, spending some quality time not as tourists, but pretending to actually live there to get a real sense and taste of the place. We made one trip in February, which was great, and we were planning for the next trip.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah. A little background about us. I was born in Brazil, South America, from an Asian family, and grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a college attorney who loves her job working with students, faculty, and staff.
I was born and raised in Long Island, New York. And I'm a law librarian working in a court who also loves his job. We've lived in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, New York for many years and have been thinking about our future home.
So we will be speaking to folks from around the country who have moved to venues of their dreams and more. And we will share their intimate secrets.
What?
Just kidding. But we'll offer information you may not find anywhere else. So stay tuned. Hi there. In today's episode, we will be speaking to Marcella and Peter, who made Naples, Florida, their dream home. Before we start, here's a little background about our guests. Marcella Katz-Armoza, born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where she completed undergraduate and graduate degrees. She emigrated to California with her first husband. How many are there? And 3 children. In the United States, she attained a master's degree in public administration, then a doctorate in Cardiff, Wales. She's lived in California, New York, New Jersey, and now Florida. Marcella met and married Peter 9 years ago. Marcella was a vice president of enrollment management and student affairs at a college in the city of New York. I had the distinct privilege of working with Marcella, and I think we made a great team. If you Google her name, you will find that she founded the art of multitasking between family, a highly busy career, and rumor has it that she even had her BlackBerry under her wedding gown. She managed to find an outlet amongst all those busy things, the world of real estate. Some of us embroider. This is how this woman finds calm. She buys property, renovates them, and even sells some.
Okay, now for Peter Guggenheim, born in New York City, but he lived most of his life in New Jersey. He attended William Patterson University in New Jersey, where he received a degree in business. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Every time we book a guest, we ask them to send a bio. This is what Peter's bio said about his career. Truck driver for 30 years. That tells me nothing. Did you deliver milk locally? Did you deliver bakery goods? Did you go across the country? It turns out he drove a tractor trailer across the country. He must have some great stories. If that was my career, I'd be telling everybody. I'd be bragging about it because people would think I'm this tough guy, long-haul truck driver. See, if someone tells me they just drive a truck locally, they'll think you're just a local truck driver and I can take you. If you tell me you're a long-haul truck driver, I think I'm not going to mess with you because you're a tough guy. All right, that's enough, Peter. But we'll be talking about his trucking career a little later.
I can hear how nervous you are just by mentioning that he's a truck driver. I think you're going to hide in the corner now. I think we should start the show. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Welcome, Marcella and Peter. We are so grateful and honored that you are joining us and sharing your story. Our audience is very interested in hearing people from where they've retired to in various places of the country. And Naples actually is on.
It's on a number of lists of the best places to retire.
So thank you for that. Please let us know about your journey.
Okay. And thank you for inviting us. It's a real pleasure to be here. We retired approximately 2 years ago. There was a little bit of a progression in the process. Peter started feeling tired of what he was doing and the winter. And by the time I retired, he really couldn't think of driving anymore. He was unhappy. And he had had a heart attack a few years before. I think that he progressed to the point where he was really ready to stop driving. You want to add something to that?
Well, there are a couple of things that would be a gray area there that I'm not sure I totally agree with, but that's the gist of things. Marcelo always told me at the university that people would walk in and one day say, "I've had enough," and that they would know that was the day they were going to start looking for retirement. And with me, it wasn't quite that sudden. I knew for a long time that I wasn't going to be able to do it until old age. A lot of people drive into their 70s and 80s. I knew that wasn't going to be for me. And when I started driving, I did cross country, and then slowly reined it in for about 10 years. I worked for a company in Wisconsin that was back and forth to the East Coast. I leased to a company in Scranton delivering ice cream into the Northeast, slowly making the route smaller and wanting to be home more because life on the road's not so glamorous as you see, BJ and the Bear and all that. Eat properly, shower properly, you deal with the weather. Some people are nice, some people aren't so kind. And it was just time for me to give it up. So we ended up in Naples. That was, I really hadn't given any consideration to where I wanted to retire. I just knew that I wanted to be able to sleep in my own bed, my own shower, my own kitchen, our own kitchen, as it turned out. That in the beginning, I hadn't planned on it being more, than my kitchen. But as Marcella said, she was married before I wasn't. I was on the road, and it really wasn't conducive to meeting somebody. I had tried it once before, doing local work, and being from the New York area, that is the toughest truck driver you can do. Some people do local. If you're living in Iowa, even in Chicago, it's far easier. New York is the toughest market, and that was always the best paying freight going from Chicago to New York or to the Northeast, because there are really no truck stops. There's no parking. There are no facilities for trucks. New Yorkers can be New Yorkers. People from Boston even more so. And you draw your own conclusion what that means. But it was time. So to where to retire to could have been in New Jersey, except for the weather. Of course, family is there, friends are there. And when we talked about moving, Marcella has a lot of friends and family there. Being on the road all the time, I had some friends there, so I have some family there. I come from a small family. But when we left, I told Marcella, she said, "What do you feel about moving to Florida?" And I said, "Nobody knows I'm here. Nobody will know that I'm gone." How it was. It was an easy transition for me.
So did your truck have a name? Like, some people name their boats and cars.
My truck came with a name. It was called Volvo.
Called what?
Volvo.
Marcella, can you tell us your journey to Naples?
When we started talking about retirement, what I thought would be wise was to start researching possible places. So I started looking at places that were relatively cosmopolitan because, I have an accent, we're Jewish. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't a place that was too small for people to feel comfortable with us and vice versa. I also wanted a place with low taxes. And it was very important to me to know that we were going to have a good investment in whatever we bought there. Initially, the idea was that perhaps we would keep two places, one for the summer and another one for the winter. We progressed on that, comparing costs, how viable that was. So, but the taxes were very important, and Collier County has one of the lowest taxes in the country. I also wanted a place that was safe. Wanted a place that would have nice lifestyle with great restaurants, and I also wanted to be not too far from a big city like we have here, Miami. So 7 years ago, I started looking and researching, narrowed it down, and decided to come to Naples. And within Naples, thought that the best idea would be to buy something small that we could rent also, so that it wouldn't be a burden. But at the same time, I wanted Peter to experience it. I wanted Peter to be more comfortable, because Peter had this thing of, while he lived all his life in New Jersey, he knew very little of New Jersey because his life was in the truck. So I wanted to find a place where he would feel comfortable. So I bought a place that I still have now, and it's rented now. And we started coming. We came together to look for it, and we started coming for 4 or 5 days. We would spend some time in December, and Peter loved it. Right. It was from the beginning that he really liked the place, the lifestyle. And that's how we ended up in Naples. We thought that we would keep a place in New Hope, relatively near to the kids. It's a nice place, has nightlife, it has everything. We started looking, but it was a major investment. Also, while we were looking, my son-in-law, my daughter lives in Pennsylvania. My son-in-law got an offer for a job in Connecticut. They went very near to accepting that, and I realized that I really had to be careful with whether I wanted to follow the kids, because they're free to go. And my daughter-in-law was considering moving to Chicago for a job too. So the idea was really that we would make the decision of where to move, and the kids would come and visit. And I have a friend who has a place in Miami, and she said, Marcela, they come. Know that they come. And boy, you're right. After almost 5 years, for 4 years and a half of spending time there, after 3 years, we went to see an open house of a bigger place, a condo, a townhouse, and we put an offer and we bought it together. And we rented it out. So at this point, we have a place where we think is going to be where we move when we decide to move from New York, and a place that we are using to visit. So we have no financial burden. We get to experience the life in Naples. And so the decision was, when I retired, which I planned for my retirement for more than 3 years. And people did not believe me.
Please don't go. We need you. And then she tried to leave again. It was like, no, you have to come back. No, she tried to leave.
So it was, I always, once I put the date, I started working in general with also the real estate piece, buying properties, renting out properties, selling properties, buying, renovating. And then with the final date, that was very clear to both of us. And then Peter decided that he was going to retire too. I think that I had been retired for close to a year, but officially like perhaps half a year, and Peter stopped driving. We put a date also that we were going to move, which was a real surprise for Peter's family. And that's how we ended up here, September 2018. And I have not yet completely rejected the idea of eventually having a place in the Northeast where we can spend some time. There are many people who have places where they spend the summer. Mm-hmm. But that would be another step, not now.
It seems that a lot of your life down in Florida focuses on your real estate career, and you've done really wonderful with that, both of you. When you're not doing that, what do you do in Naples? What's a typical week or day?
There's actually I always tell people that in Naples you can do as much or as little as you want. There's a wonderful cultural life, lots of talks and presentations. There's beautiful art museum, and because there's so much wealth, there's such huge donations in this area. Everything is the best. We have the most beautiful botanical garden, for example, and everything is small but like a treasure. They have for the holiday season, they have an evening light show in the botanical garden. And I took all my kids and my grandkids and my grandson, who works in the movie industry, could not believe the sophistication of the presentations. It was like a night in Fantasyland. It was so beautiful. This zoo is beautiful. There's a concert house here. I went to see opera, and I loved the opera, the voices, the stages. So what you see is that everything is like more than first class. Whatever you're going to see, there's a children museum here that is just amazing. The Golisano Children Museum, my kids went to visit. And then, of course, the restaurants are beyond belief. There are around 900 restaurants in this small area.
Oh my God.
And they're so refined and or not. You have wonderful diner, but then you have like beautiful continental food, and they're concentrated in two areas: Third Street, which is where the pier is, the Fifth Avenue, which is just so elegant. It's such an experience just to walk on Fifth Avenue. Everybody with their cars, with their, Rolls Royce and Bentleys driving up and down. And people are, even with that, they're low key. Nobody's like showing off. They're just going there. The service is fantastic. All these was affected though by COVID. I mean, you can still go to Fifth Avenue. It will not be the same experience that we had before. We have been in restaurants, but only outside. We don't go inside. This is a very, very conservative area. Very conservative, very Republican. You have to be aware, and it's part of your choice. We found also wonderful small Jewish temple. There are 4 Jewish temples here, and there's a very large one where most of the young families go because they have a fantastic school. Then there's the Chabad, which is much more traditional, and then there are 2 conservatives and one Reform. We go to the Reform, and it's only for adults.
Oh, wow.
So that we never saw in yet. So there are no bar mitzvahs, for example. But there are around, I think that there are 45 families with a fantastic rabbi who is a retired rabbi from Connecticut. He comes 3 weekends. And then there is a cantor, a woman cantor who officiates the 4th time. We also have a lot of activities that are organized. When we came in, it was like such a party because, in 40-something couples, when a new couple comes in, it's a big deal. So they welcomed us, and there were adult education nights where we had pizza in the outside Lanai. It's a beautiful temple that they use space of the United Universal Church. So that now it's only online, so that we don't have anymore, and I miss it. So there are a lot of volunteer opportunities too. So, for example, I was teaching ESL in the First Baptist Haitian church here.
Wow.
It's a fantastic church.
Wow.
And they built it themselves. The community, the Haitian community built it. It is huge. And they built a school, but they had no students. They were very interested in creating something. So that was a very nice experience, but it closed with COVID.
Yeah.
And we had fantastic libraries here, and with great adult education courses that are now on a pause. So I was very involved and making new friends, and we would go out twice a week. We became members of the botanical gardens, members of the museum. You can still go. There's something very famous in Naples, which is the sunsets. People come from Europe from Israel to see the sunsets in Naples. They're just amazing, fantastic. We were doing that because it's like unimaginable, That's a whole event where everybody gathers in by the beach or on the pier. You can't believe when the sun drops. Regular retired life was altered by the limitations that COVID brought. We're hoping to go back to see friends and to make more friends. Peter has a friend. I'm 3 hours away from him. 3 hours away. Yeah. His best friend, they're like brothers, really. So it was very nice because they can visit each other. And that was something that he gained by coming closer. The other thing that Naples has is the most amazing beaches. So there's a beach. When my brother went, he said, this is something that you see in the Maldives. You don't see. The water is very warm and completely see-through. It's a state beach, so it's very controlled. They do not allow parking for more than a number of cars. So if you're not there early...
Is it a public beach?
Yes. That one is state. Naples has... Collier County has its own. Our own sticker, so we don't have to pay. When Miami and all the east coast of Florida closed their beaches, they enforced that these beaches were only for the Naples people. So you could only park if you had your sticker here. And you go in the morning, and it's unbelievable. It's so see-through. You can see the dolphins, and the water is like 90 degrees.
Very nice.
It is Peter doesn't like cold water. In fact, he has never been in our swimming pool here.
No.
And it's heated. We have it.
And it's heated.
Never. I swim every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. He has never set a foot there.
I've been into it up to here.
You're talking about how great the downtown is. I love a great downtown. That's one of the things I would like when I retire. I know it's very expensive there. Are the stores mostly high end, or can you, for instance, do they have a hardware store?
They have a Subway.
Yes, they have. So the stores in downtown are very high end. You don't have to buy in downtown because the commerce is established all up and down what they call Tamiami, which is the Tamiami Trail is from Tampa to Miami. You can find the supermarkets, and there are warehouses, and but not in downtown. But downtown is like you would say Rodeo Drive. That's the best comparison that I can find. And so you don't go to do shopping there unless, for example, my brother is an art collector. He likes crystal. So he loves going there. There's another area that's the Venetian Village that's also very exclusive, beautiful crystals, beautiful art. You can go and walk by and have an ice cream there. And then when you want to buy the regular things, you go to Tamiami. And not everybody who lives in Naples or who comes to Naples is going to live in those like the $50 million mansions. There are a lot of people who come, and Naples is expanding right now, and there's a housing crisis right now. Naples needs houses for first responders, for teachers, and there's a crisis for the landscaping companies. In the morning, you see all the landscaping companies moving around, but they can't live too far from here. So they're trying to create developments that are not as expensive, allow for the local establishment, because otherwise there's a negative impact because the commute is so big that, for example, it's very important to find maintenance people for the developments. I remember somebody told me that Naples airport was the busiest airport in the United States because of all the private jets that come and go. You keep on seeing them coming because they come to have dinner or spend the weekend, and then Sunday night, all those leave.
So is there an international airport near you, and what's near you within like 30 minutes? And can you take a direct flight to London, for example?
Well, we have Fort Myers. The Fort Myers is 45 minutes, and you can take a non-stop flight to any domestic flight. But for people who go to Europe, they will drive to either Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
Okay. And how far is
that? Is Fort Lauderdale is 1 hour and an hour and a half. But when we were living in New York, we would take either Frontier, JetBlue, American to Fort Lauderdale. To Fort Myers. What happens is if you go to Fort Lauderdale, it's far less expensive than coming to Fort Myers. So then you come to Fort Lauderdale and then you drive. But that's what my daughter always did. Now they're driving. Most families. Another phenomenon in the demographics was that here was mostly people who retired. Now the schools are so great. The public schools are so good here. There is the taxes are so affordable. There are many young families moving here with kids. That changes the chemistry in the place, and there are more services that are developing for young families, tutoring, summer camps that were not needed before because all you had was families would come and visit and then they would leave. Now they are moving to Naples. So it will be interesting. Not everybody's happy with that. People who lived here for 20, 25 years, if somebody wants information in Facebook, the people will respond with the picture of lot full, don't come. Yeah.
What about the weather? How's the weather?
The weather is perfect. It's just amazing.
It's terrible, don't come.
It is amazing. And the summer is not as hot. And the truth is that you go to the beach, you have your swimming pool. I sent you a picture of the swimming pool with the lanai. And then starting in the fall, you live in paradise. You walk, you still go to the beach. You swim at any time you want. It's just beautiful. It's unbelievable. The sky is so clean. If you go out, you see that beautiful sky with the stars. It's just, and that's what they say is one of the atmospheric phenomena that make the sunset so special because there's no pollution. So it's just fantastic. The skies, the winter skies are just wonderful. And, you open the doors between the living room and the lanai, and you incorporate the outside as part of the inside. So you can eat outside.
Let me ask you, do you need to have a car? Like, what's the day-to-day? Can you just take public transportation from where you are? And also, I wanted to ask if you could talk a little bit about what kind of structure you guys are now living in. Is it a single family? Is it a ranch?
You must have a car because there is no public transportation. There's something that they call it cats. Yes,
there's a bus.
There's a bus that goes like from a mile from here, takes you to the place where they have all the public services.
A lot of people use bicycle here also.
Yeah, you can do bike, but really you need at least one car. In terms of, so you cannot count with public transportation. There are many people who use Uber. That's the other thing. That's the option.
Too expensive.
Too expensive for some, but let's say that's the option. But if not, you definitely need your car. In terms of where we live, when we bought the second property that we bought here was a townhouse. It was in a development, which is not unusual. They're huge developments where you can really never leave from there because it had a hair salon, a restaurant, an ice cream place. The
post office was there.
The post office was there. So many activities. That was very nice. We could walk every day, but I wanted a bigger lanai. Lanai is an institution here. And I also wanted a single family home. I started looking for areas because, of course, everything has to appreciate. I didn't want to buy something at the top of the market. And I wanted view. We had view in the previous house, but I wanted what you call wet view, which was I wanted to look at water. There were many houses that had Gulf view, but I felt it was important, and also for the value of the property, that it had to have water. So
now we have water and Gulf view.
Yeah. In the back, we have a lake that's taken care by the Gulf, right? Yes. You can fish in the lake. And then we have the Gulf across from the lake. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful area with all ranches. It's all one story. That was important also. I didn't want, because in the townhouse we had 2 floors, 2 stories. I thought that it was better, if we're going to spend more time here, to have something that will not be demanding for us. This is a 1-story house, and we have a 2-car garage, and we have a circular driveway, so we can park 4 cars. So
I have 3 cars.
We have 3 cars because Peter has a collection car. We drive during the winter when it's not too hot. We drive around. It's a convertible Mercedes-Benz. So we.
Oh wow!
I was just going to say.
We go to Marco Island, and then we come back, and then I have a Mercedes-Benz. Peter has also a pickup truck, which is a lot of fun, and
a motorcycle.
And a motorcycle.
That's from my truck driving roots. How can you be a driver with no pickup truck?
But it's not unusual for people to try to stay within 1 floor.
And it's a lot, upstairs and downstairs, hard to clean. And Marcella's not getting any younger, so I didn't want it down to the cleaning.
I never thought that it would be, but it really makes a big difference. And I like when I'm in the kitchen and I just have to walk a few steps to go to the laundry. Yeah. It makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to tell you that I wanted to fix this house and wait. Well, right now the market is crazy. Everybody wants to buy, but wait, sell, and buy a fixer upper. But Peter is not. Is
It's not game, huh?
so I think that we might stay here.
One of the tenants, one of the townhouses, is a real estate agent. She had found a fixer-upper for some clients of hers, and the guy knew how to do all the stuff they were interested in. If I remember right, it was around $250,000. He did a lot of work, but it was livable, and they could have moved in there and fixed it up. It's not all, as Marcel says, not all $60 million houses.
Well, 250 is no small potatoes either for a fixer-upper.
It depends where you live. You're coming from New York.
Right.
This is free. They have free houses there.
Yeah.
From the Midwest, 250 is what I could have 30 acres for that. It's all. I ran to a guy who lived outside of Chicago. We were talking about the difference of the prices, and I told him that the townhouse in New Jersey taxes were $10,000, and at that time with $300 maintenance, and he couldn't believe how expensive it was. He had a big place outside Chicago at a fraction of that. So the people that come here from the Midwest, it's expensive. People that come here from the Northeast, they're giving things away.
There are more people from the Midwest there, right?
Yes. I have two of my properties are seasonal rentals, but they send you like they're coming from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from and all they say is we have to get out of this cold weather. Now this is it. At least it was, and until COVID, the community would get together and have these beautiful parades and shows. We went to the Halloween parade, and it was amazing. The most sophisticated costumes. Remember, there was one Santa Claus with the red Ferrari, and the dogs were with amazing costumes, and everybody would walk the streets. It was just fantastic. So the tree lighting was just wonderful too. They did it in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and everybody from the restaurants were all celebrating. The St. Patrick Parade was wonderful. The 4th of July,
the Halloween,
in the beach is like fantastic. And the New Year Eve, the fireworks are done at 7:00, and it's all families in the beach. A lot of boats, and drones. So that it's fantastic.
Let me tell a little something with that. The first time, it may have been New Year's when we went for the fireworks. It's people the culture of Naples, because you know how it is when you go to Coney Island or something. You go for fireworks in New York. They say that there are about 15,000 people that show up for the fireworks on the beach there. Quiet, not a radio. Quiet. The first time one person stood up. Sit down. Quiet. So culture. Fireworks. Fine. Fireworks end. Everybody gets up, files out. No pushing. No shoving. No.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
That's what people get upset when people come from Miami and there's garbage on the beach and there's blowing horns and the New Yorkers come, and then people get upset because Naples for a certain lifestyle, and that would,
You talked about restaurants and food, and I assume there's a diversity of various types of food. I'm personally curious about Chinese food. Are there markets nearby, for like genuine things, or do you have to travel somewhere like, to Miami or Sarasota or wherever?
There are 2 Asian markets here, and there are some Chinese restaurants, but the diversity here is a very unique diversity because people who can afford Naples come on vacations from Arab countries, The Naples is very popular for the wealthy Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. It's loved by the Germans. Germans love it. British love Naples too. But you don't see the New York diversity. You don't see everybody living together. What you see is very wealthy visitors coming and enjoying the great restaurants and perhaps buying a house and coming. But this is a very non-diverse area, enclave, Naples. And that's why, in fact, this is a very religious area. The churches are huge. And what you see is like we were here for Easter once visiting, and it was like, what is there a parade here? Because I mean, there was nowhere to park. Tremendous donations that support the churches, a lot of private schools. That is, it is when you talk about diversity in food, yes, you can find a lot of different kinds of food. And you see and hear different languages. It comes from those who can afford a vacation here, pretty much. That's how it is.
So I started to talk about healthcare, and I'm sure you have the finest, but can you give us, our audience, a sense of, was that a factor in your decision to move to Naples? Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, we took it for granted that the services would be here because of the people who lived here that might have high demands. Here, there's a lot of concierge medicine. Concierge. There's a doctor you pay by month, and then you use the services. For us, common folks, they have most of the doctors are organized by having several offices. There are many PAs. So you work with a PA or an RN. They're always available. You call and you can make an appointment for the same day. For example, Peter needed to see the doctor, went to see the doctor for the same day, and the same day got an X-ray that was sent back. The results were sent back to the doctor. The PA or the RN called Peter back immediately with the directions of what to do. You don't have to wait, whatever. I had to do an X-ray also. I suffered an injury running, and I was so uncomfortable going to see a physical therapist that this was like 10 months ago. So I went to see the PA, the RN, and he gave me a referral. The same day I called, they made the appointment, and that same day I started a treatment, and they already gave me the appointments for the next month. You go, you never wait. The place is huge with everything that you need. It is more personalized. Now, we both have Medicare and we have supplemental. So I'm not sure. In terms of dentists, though, Peter went to a dentist here and he was very impressed with the X-rays and everything was so sophisticated. I am still with my Brooklyn.
No.
I'll tell you why. There's a reason, because I am through the process of implants.
Okay.
And the implant has 3 steps. And I did not want to have one dentist working on the process that was started by somebody else.
Sure.
And as soon as I finish with that, I will look for somebody here.
Okay.
So definitely is not New York. The services are, it's much easier to get an appointment. You call, yes, you want to come tomorrow, for example. The services are very streamlined, no waiting.
Very efficient.
Yeah,
different, more private.
Also,
right?
even you go to motor vehicles. When we moved, of course, the change of address, the state sends you If, of course, you apply a new license in the mail with your picture on it, no going to motor vehicles, no standing in line. Everything is, I guess, because Florida is still, they call New York up and coming. That is, of course, you go to the dentist, it's the latest, the greatest, because it's new. They're not buying 5-year-old equipment. I was really impressed with the equipment they had here. My dentist in New Jersey has the same equipment he's had all along. So maybe he doesn't feel it's necessary to replace it. Maybe he doesn't want to do the investment. Social Security, motor vehicles. Marcel tells me things she deals with the state. Very modern, very streamlined, and Europe could use some of that.
You talked about the doctors. What about how are the hospitals?
There are two major hospitals here. We have not had experience with the hospitals.
So let me ask you. I mean, you guys have been down there for a little over 2 years, outside of visiting, of course. Has there any? Have you encountered any surprise about Naples that you didn't know about before you moved there? Was there anything that when you finally moved down there said, "Oh wow, I didn't know about this"?
Crocodiles on the lawn.
We have crocodiles. We've seen several. Where we were in the townhouse there, where they developed it, where they dredged out the lakes, and they used that dirt to build up, so they would have elevation for the buildings. The game warden goes through and they check to see. But there have been pictures on the local site of them coming through the neighborhoods. There are crocodiles here, the panthers here.
Did you say panthers?
It's Florida. We're almost in the swamps. From where we are in East Naples, pretty much swamp until you get to Miami.
The birds are amazing.
Yeah.
It's just, we can see the what's the name of the egret?
Sure, egret.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't think that
birds here. Yeah.
we are not surprised, because you can imagine that coming and spending time and getting all the information on the temples. We had even attended a temple before we moved here. And that was the whole idea. We didn't want surprises. I wanted to know that once we decided to move here, we would not have anything that had not been anticipated by us. Coming here, spending time, getting to know people. In fact, even before we moved in, we started the paperwork with the residents. We wanted to know we did really a very thorough research.
No estate tax, very nice.
Right. So it was there were a number of things that, and that's why, for example, having my realtor here was very important for me, because for both of us, because we had somebody that we trust.
Yes.
And also very competent.
Very, very competent.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's important that you should not wait until you retire and you move in to have surprises.
Yeah.
Because when you retire, you're less prepared to face changes and adjustments to your life. So whatever adjustments the area will require, is better to be fully aware of them.
Yeah, it depends what you're looking for. As Marcelo says, there's a nice museum here. It's not the Metropolitan. There's an opera here. It's not New York. So Fifth Avenue is a Fifth Avenue here. It's 3 or 4 blocks. Even when we went to California, so we're going to see Rodeo Drive. We're going to see Beverly Hills. It's a little bit. It's not New York. Judge Judy has a home here.
Yeah.
Have you seen her?
Sorry.
Have you seen her?
I wouldn't know. When you see on television and when when they put the makeup and all that. But there are pictures of her with people from the local museum over here. She doesn't apparently make the rest. We as Marcelo, we've sat and talked to people. We went to get a flu shot at CVS. We got talking to a guy over there. Went to Stanford. Something was a football player at Stanford, and he worked for Verizon, and now he owns a company down here, a tech company, has 250 or so employees. You don't know who drives the Ferrari, you don't know who drives the Chevrolet. Everybody is really the culture of of Naples compared to the East Coast was what white people come here. That's people, you see, people used to say, don't New York by Florida, because people come here for they don't want the East Coast lifestyle. It's very quiet.
Right.
And
Sure.
that's what people get excited
Sure.
when people come from Miami and, the blowing of the horns and, that type of thing. Yeah.
You don't find, for example, you can't go to have dinner at 12 o'clock here. And we found now they built a place that is open until later, the Mercado.
That is 10 o'clock.
And that's 10 or 11 because it is. Everything used to close at 9.
To Fort Myers. We went to some opera or something with music. We wanted to have something to eat after, and we weren't able to find anything. We had to go into Fort Myers. It was a weekend. There's some nightclubs. That's what young people come here. What is there for nightlife? You don't come to Naples for nightlife.
What about sports? I know there's no major league sports team there. You have to go to Miami, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But they do have. It's funny. They do have some funny sports there. Have you seen people playing pickleball? I hear.
Yes. It's very big pickleball here. The place that we rented where we used to live, they had several pickleball courts, and people would drive their golf carts and park them in front of the pickleball courts and talk and play. And then the neighbors had this racket, of these golf course, the golf cars all parked. So they had to create like a noise barrier. But I have to tell you, we went to the what's called like the World Center of Pickleball here. It was almost like science fiction. Everybody who was playing was 60 or over. They were in such good shape. They were so aggressive with the games. They were all with their best active wear. It was almost like a planet where when people are born and when they're 50. I mean, very serious. And there are a couple of tournament here. And I know because I get the people renting my properties because they're coming to the tournament. We have one of the properties that I own, they converted 2 or 3 of the tennis courts into pickleball courts. Mm-hmm. Of course, we also have golf. Golf is very important here. In fact, a lot of people who have golf carts and they move around with golf carts. When you go to Fifth Avenue, people are going to have dinner in the golf carts. Right here where we are, there are 3 golf courses. One is public and 2 are private. 2 private ones have been designed by very renowned designers. One of them held the PGA Tour last year.
Oh, wow.
So the whole place was all about golf, and there's a wonderful tavern right in the middle of it where you can have lunch. And
very nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Also, the high school sports are very important here. High school football, we used to have a tenant who was the coach, the football coach in one of the high schools, and it was a big deal.
Couldn't get him to fix a game. We offered him a discount. He wasn't interested.
Yeah. All right. Another sport. This is very strange to me. What is swamp buggy races?
Oh, yes. We went to. They're not too far from here. It's a tradition. And it's dirty, and I don't know. Peter had a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I think it needs some. It's been in town many years. You see all the sponsors of builders and real estate. It's quite redneck. They race in very deep water.
What's a swamp buggy?
Modified.
It is very tall, very thin wheels and tires. With a very high-mounted engine, so the water doesn't get into the intake. It's in a circular track. But when we went, and I don't know if it's always like that. The water was so high they could barely move. So it's really slow. It's like watching kids on in a little circus or a carnival or something. I think they do it themselves a disservice by making the water that deep because they move so slow that it's really kind of boring. I don't see the attraction, but it's part of the Florida culture here.
What about airboats? Have you ridden on the airboats?
Yes.
I always wanted to go on airboats. Gillen will never let me.
Crocodiles or
Alligators
or any of those things.
Yeah, we did it. We went to the Everglades and with Peter's cousin. And it was a very nice experience, but it's not something that you do more than once or twice. It's
See,
I've never done it though.
Well, you can go do it. I'm not stopping.
What's beautiful is kayaking. It's fantastic. We went on the Everglades. We are very near the entrance, and we went to the sunset kayaking. So there was a group with 2 guides, and you actually kayak in the Everglades, and you see the birds, and it was. And you see the sunset. It was fantastic. It's a great experience.
That was a lot of fun.
That's
something you would do more than once. Very interesting. They chose an island with all the little islands in the middle of all this swamp. There's one island that the birds seem to have picked out, and at sunset, thousands of birds come.
Yeah,
it was very nice.
Low impact, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
no mosquitoes. We don't have a lot of bugs. Certain times of the year. Very interesting. Yeah.
And there's one place I've been reading about called Corkscrew Swamp Sanctuary.
Yeah, beautiful.
Have you been there?
Yes, we were there. That's going to the north. And we went there, and they have all the boardwalks that you can go, and they have all kind of wildlife. There are many parks that are miniatures of that. That one happens to be huge.
But yeah, and I heard they have the boardwalk's 2.5 miles long, and it winds through the sanctuary, right?
Yes.
You would like to go because you go on the boardwalk. You don't have to go in the dirt.
Yeah.
Today, we're in the fall. Today's going to get to 88.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So and when I was swimming, it was 74. There's a new park also that they just opened last October, the Baker Park. The Bakers are a family who have donated a lot of things here. They were the ones who donated the funds to build the Baker Museum, and they created this park that is a fantastic park with a beautiful dog park, and it has also these trails. And you can see the water, just a fantastic place to go.
There seems to be no end to activities.
No, there's there's a very vibrant outdoor life here. When we lived in the other place and we went walking, everybody was walking, biking, and at night everybody was with their golf carts going around also. It is, people are very active, and you have a retirement that is very outdoorsy, very vibrant, one things to do. The funny thing is at 6:00, everybody goes to the restaurant because they are early eaters.
Yes, we're the well, not so much anymore. When we first started coming, we were the young folks here. It's like the fountain of youth. You feel young again. We're still in the swamp. Put lipstick on a pig. It's very nice here, but you can't fight nature. There's still a low elevation. They talk about the problems in Miami with the water coming in. With and all that. So, and we're I think confident in our lifetime we won't be underwater here. So I think we made a very good choice. We're going to be. You see downtown when they have a strong storm here, the new houses they build with some elevation, but the older houses, in one particular, are fantastic, like a chateau. It's like I think French style, big square, fantastic. But when it's strong rain and we go down after that, a day or two after that, you'll see their lawn has puddles in it. That it's the change of weather and so forth. You can see there, maybe such not fake news, because who would build a place like that if you thought it was going to flood? They do have some flooding downtown. There's there are houses here that they take you on the airboats that were built on dry land. They were built on stilts, but with a road that you could access. They're not accessible anymore. They're at Marco Island. They're absolutely standing in the ocean.
So, wow, I think we've covered so much ground. We've never covered so much in one episode. So is there anything that you'd like our audience to know? Anything you want to share? Anything we may have left out? I'm not sure we left anything out, but what do you think?
All I can tell you is it's a very different lifestyle from New York.
There's a lot to do. We're talking about moving down. My mother would say, "You're going to be bored. You're going to have to get a part-time job. What are you going to do all day?" Okay, Mom. Sure, Mom. That hasn't happened yet, and I don't see it happening. There's a lot to do. We have plenty to do.
All right, great. Well, we want to thank you for all your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was great.
This was so nice, and we really appreciate it. Okay, and we will definitely come see you guys.
Oh, right. Yes.
Beware. Be afraid.
Be afraid. Be afraid. All right, take care.
All right.
Take care. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our show and will join us again.
And if you know of someone who relocated after retirement or before or during and wishes to share their story, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our information will be in the show notes below. They include our email address, gg@retirethere.com. The 2 G's are for Gil and Jean. Our website is retirethere.com. And you can follow us on Twitter @retirethere_. Remember the underscore, or you'll get us mixed up with someone else.